Hey there, this is the Resistor Vic podcast. I'm here to get folks thinking about politics as something that's really about regular people like you and me, and to realize that together we can make a difference. I'm Vic Myers. Welcome to the Resistance. So we're day 10 of the shutdown, and nothing seems to be changing. I'm not surprised. I did get an email from my congressman, my Republican congressman, just before I started setting up, telling me how it's a Democratic Party shutdown. And yes, the Republicans are going to blame the Democrats. Yes, Democrats are going to blame the Republicans. But let's look at what they're doing. The Republicans are using it as an excuse to fire people. They're using it as an excuse to not swear in Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva so that they don't have to release the Epstein files. And they're also using it to hurt people. NPR reported on this today, and I made a mention of it in a video the other day. Elderly people who depend on public assistance for their housing, disabled people who depend on public assistance for their housing, for Medicaid, they have to go down to the Social Security office every month and get proof of income. And guess what? Because of the shutdown, well, not because of the shutdown, because of Donald Trump and Russell Vought and all those people in his White House, they put out a directive that the Social Security Administration will not print these things up. They can. They're just saying that they're not going to because of the shutdown. So grandma who doesn't have a computer, doesn't have internet, and if she does, she doesn't know how to navigate the Social Security website to create their own account, and she probably doesn't have a printer because not a lot of people really need printers anyway, right? All these people who need it the most can't get the verification they need to go and get their Medicaid payments or their, well, not Medicaid payments, but to stay on Medicaid or to stay in their public housing. All these things. That's what the Republicans are doing. And what are the Democrats doing during this shutdown? They're showing up to Washington to work. The Republicans aren't in the House. And the Democrats are fighting to save health care for millions and millions of Americans. So, yeah, if the Republicans want to call it a Democratic shutdown, if it sticks, then I would say, hell yeah, wear it like a badge of honor, because the Democrats are refusing to let the Republicans open without concessions that'll keep Americans insured. Anyway, what else? In other world news today, ketchup is flying like mad in the West Wing because the Nobel Peace Prize went to Maria Corina Machado, the Venezuelan opposition leader who fights for free elections. So now a black man and a Hispanic woman have both won the Nobel Peace Prize, something that Donald Trump cannot buy with all of his gold. And meanwhile, the Trump administration has been blowing up a bunch of small fishing boats and calling them Venezuelan drug boats. Kind of makes me wonder if that had anything to do with the decision to give it to a Venezuelan opposition leader. Anyway, anyone who spends 30 seconds looking at this so-called drug boat thing knows that story doesn't hold water. This administration is lying to the world, and the world knows it. And speaking of Venezuela, today Pete Hegseth held a press conference announcing that we would build a facility for the Qatari Air Force at Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho. What does this have to do with Argentina? Or the drug boats? It's the same thing. It's disinformation. Not that Pete Hegseth said that we would build a facility for the Qatari Air Force, because that's exactly what he said. He said facility. But it's a normal public defense partnership, the kind of thing that happens all the time. And honestly, it really shouldn't surprise anyone. We've had a major military presence in Qatar for decades. Since 1992, I believe. The Udeid, I don't know how to say it, Udeid Air Base just outside of Doha. It's the largest American base in the Middle East. And it's been there for 30 years in Qatar. So when people act shocked that we're training with Qatar, they're missing the part where we've been working with them all along. But within hours, people online were melting down like mad. This guy posted on Twitter and Blue Sky and who knows where else, Judd Legume. His bio says that he is a respected journalist and an attorney. But he said, Qatar gave Trump the luxury 747 that he wanted, and now we are, in all caps, letting them build a military base on U.S. soil. No, we're not. And this guy, who a lot of you guys know, Aaron Parnas, look at that, 1.6 million views with his breaking news. Trump allows Qatar to build Air Force facility in Idaho to house Qatari troops. Now, it sounds benign, his headline, but his video didn't do anything but make people believe that we were going to build an Air Force base for Qatar. It wasn't until 7.5 hours that he posted this one, making it clear and explaining that it wasn't an Air Force base. And the funny thing is, in this clip that I grabbed, I caught the captioning, and it says, this is Aaron saying, and words matter. You're right, Aaron, words matter. Judd Legume, words matter. The word that matters the most on this day is facility. I knew immediately that it was no big deal because, one, I already know it's illegal to build a foreign country's military base on American soil. And two, we train with them all the time. When I was in the 101st Airborne Division in Army Aviation, we had pilots from other countries attached to our unit to train with us. It wasn't unusual. That's how we learned to work together with our allies. It isn't some secret plot. It's how we keep from shooting each other in coalition missions. It's about building trust and coordination and interoperability. According to the Modern War Institute at West Point, in 2019, the United States trained 71,000 military personnel from 157 countries through various programs. And many of those troops were right here on American soil. So 195 countries in the world, and we're training with 157 of them. That means we're working with more than 80% of them. But when respected journalists get things like this wrong, it does more than just spread confusion. It erodes trust. Because when people who are supposed to value the truth start cutting corners, it gives everyone else permission to do the same. We expect right-wing influencers to do this. We expect the right-wing, MAGA, Fox News, and all those other weird news organizations they have, we expect them to twist the truth, to lie to us, because that's their business model. But when the people on our side do it, the ones who claim to stand for truth and accountability, when they start doing it too, it blurs the line between us and them. We stop being the people who check the facts, and we start being the people who just shout the loudest. And that's not journalism, and that's not activism. It's just noise. A few days ago, I heard the guys on Pod Save America. And to be clear, I am not trying to insult or be anti-Pod Save or anti-Legume or anti-Parnas. But it's like when my Broncos beat the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think the Philadelphia Eagles went in? And my apologies for those of you who don't follow football. I'm sure the Eagles went back into their locker room and said, what did we do wrong? They didn't blame the Broncos for beating them. They went in there and they evaluated. They didn't evaluate enough because the Giants creamed them too last night. But anyway, the point is, they went in and evaluated what they did wrong. And today, October 10th, 2025, the left got it horribly wrong because so many popular content creators and journalists and stuff on the left are out there repeating this false narrative about a military base being built in Idaho for a foreign country. So anyway, back to where I was. Pod Save America guys talking about the Trump administration, and they referred to the Department of Defense as the Department of War. Now, Donald Trump did sign an executive order trying to rename it that way. But by law, since 1949, it's called the Department of Defense. And an executive order can't change it. Congress has never changed it. That renaming was just branding. That's an authoritarian stunt to reshape how you and I think. And when folks on our own side start using their language, even if it's a joke or shorthand, then we're doing their work for them. Because, as Aaron said, words matter. When we start adapting the language of the people we claim to oppose, we help them normalize it. We make their ideas sound legitimate. And if we want to defend the institutions we believe in, then we have to respect them, even down to what we call them. You know, that's one of Timothy Snyder's lessons about tyranny, is defending your institutions, letting people call it the Department of War or call Hegseth the Secretary of War. That's not defending your institutions. And over here on the left, we like to say, we're better than that. We're better than the lies, the propaganda, the manipulation. But if we're going to claim that, then we got to live it. We have to be better than the people who lie to us, because the minute we start twisting facts to make our own point sound stronger, we're no better than they are. And it's not about being perfect. I've watched a video now and then or seen a post on Facebook or whatever and let my brain slip gears and automatically go into rage mode and post something stupid. It happens to everybody. I would like it to not happen to respected journalists, because it's not about being perfect. I'm not perfect. These guys aren't perfect, but they do have a higher standard, I would think. And we can't fight misinformation by becoming a part of it. We can't save democracy if we don't defend reality. You can't do that if you're not being honest and you're not fact-checking yourself before you go out there and shout to the world that the world's on fire. In a previous episode, it was called Point of View. It was like my second or third episode, I think. I said we can't let anyone else decide our point of view for us. Not the loudest voices online, not the people that we like, and especially not the people in power. Because once we start adopting someone else's point of view, like Secretary of War, then we stop having our own. And when a respected journalist posts before checking, that shapes public opinion before truth even enters the game. Truth doesn't have a chance. And when people on our own side pick up the Department of War phrasing and pass it along like it's already true, it's the same problem. We're repeating someone else's spin instead of doing their work or doing the work. Our job, yours and mine, everyone who still believes in democracy, is to stop letting anyone hand us a point of view, whether it's wrapped in a flag or wrapped in a blue check mark. We've got to do the work ourselves, because if we don't, the people lying on purpose and the people repeating the lies out of negligence end up doing the same damage. I'm Vic Myers. Thanks for letting me be a part of your day. Well, folks, looks like we're back at the barn and it's time to call it a day. I sure do appreciate you spending your time with me. If you want to help keep this podcast going by supporting me, you can get a paid subscription on Substack, where I'm Resistor Vic. Or if you're the type that'd rather go to PayPal, I'm also resistorvic@gmail.com. Thanks again.